You're the reason why I am my way. You're the reason why I rip my shirts, why I eat at the buffet. Butter, butter, you got your very own kind of nice. We all live inside a butter world. Oh, butter, butter, gonna eat it by the sticks tonight. Gonna eat out this world. Oh, butter, I'm about to take a bite, 'cause I want that salty cream. What I dream about all night. Butter dreaming. I'm about to take a bite, 'cause I want that salty cream. What I dream about all.
Butter dreaming, baby.
Yo, yo, yo. What's going on?
What's going on? Welcome everyone to a Monday Night Live with Butterfuel. Wonderful guest, Mr. Anderson, the owner of and creator of Butterfuel. And I am Jay. I'm just here to look good.
That's right. He's just there to do the janitorial work.
I'm here to clean the toilets.
Yeah, someone's got to do it, man.
It's got to be done
Yeah,
one way or the other. Someone has to step up to the challenge.
yeah. How's everything over there? Sending warm regards from the exotic land of San Salvador.
Nice. Yeah, no, thank you. We definitely need some warmth. It's been, snowing a lot. It's been like 20s, 20 Fahrenheit or so, mid 30s today. Yeah, it's pretty cold. I don't like it.
Good, I left.
Yeah, you left, man. You got a tan. You look more red. You're definitely getting some sun nourishment.
Yeah. I mean, I got pretty badly sunburnt yesterday, so it'll wear off in the next few days. Just stay tuned to see how my skin progresses.
Yeah. Like, look at me, man. I'm blending in with the shirt.
Yeah.
I'm phasing into whiteness.
Yeah. Sucks.
A bad word these days. Whiteness.
Oh my God.
Oh!
Whiteness and carnivory go together.
This is definitely a white supremacist movement. No, satire.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm here. I'm the diversity hire.
he's part of the DEI Council. And
that's right.
He's here to create the diversity and equity and inclusion.
Yes. I'm also vegan on Tuesdays. for and we call it DIE here. It's short for die.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah, we like to stay real here, and that's why I fast on Tuesdays too.
the vegan Tuesdays are fasting.
Vegan Tuesdays for fasting. That's right.
It's all about being inclusive. You're trying to include as many things into this one day of Tuesday vegan fasting.
Absolutely.
I'm vegan when I'm fasting. I like it.
Yeah.
So we have a great show, as always, as per usual, to the high standards of Butterfuel. We are going to be talking about how to lose weight on carnivore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most people come to carnivore diet to lose weight, even though it is a health first diet. There's many reasons to do a carnivore diet, even ethical reasons. If you really want to follow the least harm principle, carnivore, by all means, causes less harm than a vegan diet. But that's a separate topic for another day. Very excited to get to it.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, and as always, if you're watching or listening, drop us a comment below. Let us know where you're watching from. If everything sounds okay to you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Support our hard work. The algo lords hate us, and everyone hates us. Mainstream media, big corporations, but this is the fight we're in for. So buy our merch and support our affiliates. Links in bio.
Yeah, like our Instagram is absolutely getting tanked, right? It's absolutely dethrottled. Like the activity that it's getting, it's I've never seen it so low.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy, man. Like the posts are like shown to like 3,000 people.
mm,
If you have 80,000 followers, why shouldn't it be shown to like you know at least 60,000 of those people?
yeah, yeah,
Why?
yeah,
But hey, we just gotta keep on hammering. I have some ideas for the content strategy, but
nice.
we'll talk about that later.
Gotta hack the algos.
Yes.
All right. Quick comment. Bonita Santini, sound quality is good. Awesome, thank you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Bonita.
All right, so how to lose weight with carnivore and sit-ups February. As always, we're going to cover sit-ups February. We're wrapping up the month of February, so we are towards the end of the challenge. The challenge has been 25 sit-ups at least. Some people are doing 200. And log your sit-ups in our Discord group. It's a members-only Discord group, and you add points by doing /add points, X number of sit-ups at your username. And we also host weekly check-in Zoom calls on Wednesdays. Normally 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. It fluctuates between those two times depending on people's availability. But yeah, those are the two time slots that we always do.
Yeah. Our weekly Zoom meetings are a great time. We talk about all sorts of things, just beyond carnivory, beyond animal-based diets. If you are into carnivory, then chances are you're a very open-minded individual, and you're very open to some other crazy ideas, or deemed crazy by the normies. And so we discuss all of that in a space where everyone loves meat and no one's afraid to speak some truth. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely go join our Discord, join our monthly challenge, and join our weekly Zoom meetings. Back to you,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes, awesome. So yeah, the leaderboard as of today, February 27th, we have Big Darren with 4,975. So just 25 crunches abs to 5K. So yeah, he's blasting a lot of abs. He says that it feels here now, which is, I guess I would say that's a pretty cool benefit. Make your ab workouts much easier. They're generally not fun. They hurt. But yeah, we got quite a bit of activity. Nadia with 3,500, Joy with 2,300, Timbo 1,900, Astro Treble 1,800. So a lot of people pushing in a lot of numbers, and I like that. For next month, we are going to be doing the pull-up challenge, right? So similar concept. I don't think we will require people to do 25 pull-ups because that is certainly very hard. But yeah, pull-ups, obviously 5 to 10 pull-ups depending on your skill level. For the women, pull-ups are obviously more challenging. So use assisted pull-ups either with a resistance band or like the assisted pull-up machine. I think those are perfectly valid, right? I think the idea of these challenges is all relative to yourself. So whatever means necessary you can to do it, do it.
Yeah. Strive for progress, not perfection.
Yes.
Like we like to say.
Yes. Courtney says, yo.
She says, yo. What's going on, Courtney? Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, Courtney. All right. And to recap last week, you know, cool guy, uh, Future 4200,
Yeah.
um,
Also known as Dustin.
Dustin, yes. Uh, sorry, I was switching the camera. Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about permaculture, food sovereignty, cannabis, and making the world better. So Dustin definitely focuses on people, you could say achieving food sovereignty, right? Like if you were like to summarize it, like he helps you find land and then use that land to yield you food um, forever, basically, creating food
Yeah.
sovereignty for
Forever.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. He's really the example that it doesn't take as much as you think it does. And even if you're short on resources, short on funds, there are creative solutions you can come up with to, finding a way to provide food for yourself. He said on the show, and you should definitely listen to this. If growing your own food or like the topic of food sovereignty sounds interesting to you, you should definitely give this episode a listen. He told us that he got a lease for 100 acres for just $1,000 per year. And he
Yeah,
insists these deals, these possibilities are out there. They're out there and about. You just have to do the hard work of finding them. So, if that sounds interesting to you, what is permaculture about? The ethics of permaculture. I really like that he explained that. That it focuses on people first and on the soil as well. And if you have those two ethics like held to like the highest value, then everything you produce from that system has to be good for people and for the environment. And he is walking the walk. He walks the talk. You should definitely follow him on Instagram, and just super super interesting conversation. We discussed some creative ways to avoid the big man. And again, that sounds interesting to you, definitely give it a listen and follow him on Instagram.
yeah, yeah.
Huge shout
Definitely,
out.
yeah. Huge shout out. Definitely not a topic that you could go like understand on a first go. It's like learn about it and then you have to research it and understand it much better. It becomes much easier once you fully understand it. But the concept is pretty simple. Food sovereignty, creating a permaculture or a food forest, right, where you have to do the work for your cattle, and then or whatever animal that you any livestock, and then they live off that food forest. So you basically don't even have to be buying feed, right? Living off the land, basically leveraging nature's mechanism.
Exactly.
So yeah, those are the key points. But let's keep pushing. All right, how to lose weight. Nice. Well, yeah. First, first off, if you want to lose weight, you need to pick a nutrition strategy. What does that look like? Well, it could be a vegan strategy, could be a seed oil rich, a super healthy route. By the way, it's been approved by fact checkers. Fact checkers will tell you this is healthy. So accept that. Intuitive approach, right? Uh,
Yeah,
have
if you
your
want
eyes.
to intuitively eat ice cream.
Yeah, yeah. Have your eyes. Your body's telling you you want to eat some ice cream. Have it, man. Have it. And then if tomorrow your body's telling you you want some ice cream again, have it. Eventually, you'll somehow lose weight. uh, if it fits your macros, right? That's your bodybuilder. Let me just hit my macros. Let me hit my proteins. Whatever I eat, doesn't matter if it's rice, chicken, or kale. If there's protein on kale, I'm counting that towards my protein, which is a bunch of nonsense. But there's some, useful tools there. And there's the low carb slash carnivore approach nutrition strategy, which we are huge advocates for. I kind of put them here together because it's kind of like the same thing almost. Not quite, but it's the same principle of I'm reducing my carbs, but I have to eat more meats, more animal fats. Um, I mean,
Yeah,
because
they're closely related to each other.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way of like remaining flexible. Whether depending if you're doing it strictly for losing weight, right? We're not considering health reasons here. Uh, you know, s- Being low carb when the situation calls for it, I think it's totally cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And you need an exercise strategy. Even more simpler, despite what social media would tell you. Right? You pick an exercise strategy, so either resistance training or cardio or both, right? Generally, people understand to some level that you need one or two or both. Our preferred approach, obviously, is resistance training. So that looks like going to the gym, lifting some heavy weights, and then cardiovascular exercise is not completely ruled out. It is also a tool that gets used um, to help you push towards the end, right? If you're towards your end of your weight loss journey, and you still have a little bit more to shred off, but you cannot eat any less, you activate the cardio. Burn those fewer extra calories uh, to get you over the next stage. All right. Then, if you want to talk about goals, right? What is the goal of a nutritional strategy? What is it? Um, yeah, obviously the nutritional strategy must satisfy or minimize cravings. The nutrition strategy must increase adherence and compliance. It's something you have to be able to stick to. It
Yeah,
can't be. It can't be just like the chicken and lettuce, right? You're not gonna stick to that. So you gotta find a strategy that will help you adhere to it.
yeah, that's probably the most important point, right? One of the main reasons diets fail is because people can't sustain them, right? So it's not the diet that fails; it's people. But yeah, no,
That's true.
it's both. It's both, right?
It's both.
You need to find the right one for you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and that's the thing about diet culture too, right? It's like, oh, put your head down and then just lose the weight, eat your chicken breast, love chicken, but it gets like lean chicken. It's not as satisfying as fatty chicken, for example. People are scared of fat. People are confused, so they go for the salads and chicken. Uh, Provably not easy to adhere to. Even the food pyramid that gets touted as um, it's not so bad, or it's optimal, or it's good, heavy grain base, very little red meats. Quite the opposite is the inversion of truth. Um, People couldn't even adhere to that pyramid-based diet. Um, so yeah, what matters is adherence and compliance. Yeah, your nutritional strategy must lead to losing weight, must make you feel good, must make you look good. Pretty simple.
Yeah, definitely all things we want from our nutrition strategy.
Yeah. Um, that feel good one too, though. It's like um, most people would believe that losing weight doesn't feel good. It's just a matter of pushing through, which is a problem, right? Because once you reach the weight, what do? Do you just permanently feel terrible in order to sustain that weight?
That's right. Yeah, it all depends on where you're starting from, right? We'll address that.
Yeah. All right. Exercise strategy. What is
Yeah,
the goal of your exercise strategy? Build a bigger booty. Right. Yeah, that could be a goal. Um, what do you think, Anderson?
Yeah, I mean, some people certainly just want to go for the aesthetic value of it. Building a bigger booty is one that's very common in female spaces. Um, be strong and in an artistic aesthetic shape. Definitely vanity will have a big factor to play in here. Man, do you want to look like a chiseled Greek statue? Like, I mean, yes. Or do you want to become a marathon runner, right? Do you want to look like a marathon runner, who are characteristically leaner physical types, right? I think most people would agree that the most desirable kind of physique is that of a bodybuilder or versus that of a endurance athlete. And now there's two of you.
Yeah, the battery on my other camera. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like the battery of my camera just died. So I'm taking over.
Well, hopefully it doesn't malfunction with the audio, right?
Yeah. The thing is, like, if I take off the other camera, it'll ruin the audio.
That's very strange. But yeah, the exercise strategy must be conducive towards your aesthetic goals. You cannot spot reduce, but you can spot build. So I think many people have a misconception that you can target individual body areas and target the fat loss in those areas. This is very common in female health spaces. How do I reduce my tummy? How to get rid of my chubby arms? Things like that, right? And the secret here is there is no secret. You just have to lose the weight from all around your body. So what might be the most optimal exercise strategy for this? Well, we're going to discuss that.
Yes.
Yeah. We're just setting the stage here.
Setting the stage.
And yeah, speaking of stages, it's also very important to consider where are you starting from, right? Not everyone on their weight loss journey is starting from the same point. For example, if you take someone who is, excessively overweight and has probably around 50 to 100 plus pounds of weight to lose, we're talking about someone who is probably over 300 pounds of weight, then their situation is going to be very different, right? In their case, even just cleaning up their diet is going to lead to a huge change in their body composition. Cutting out the junk and cleaning up the diet, that in and of itself might lead to a 50, 100-pound weight loss.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit the next one.
If you got a lot of weight, you got a lot of you can make a lot of progress by just doing this.
Yeah, and then there's like the puffy to lean space. So this is where you're not super fat, you're not morbidly obese, you don't have excessive weight to lose, but maybe you have some of that stubborn fat. You still look puffy, right? You don't see any vascularity in your arms. Maybe you have ballpark 20 to 50 pounds of fat to lose. Then following on from the previous stage, you've cut out the junk, clean up your diet. Now it might be a good time to start focusing on being more active, right? And you are naturally going to become more active once you lose excess weight, right? Because now it's like requires less energy for you to move around. Now you've gained some energy back, you've gained some of that confidence back. You're probably moving around a bit more. But then, going from the puffy to lean stage, being more active is going to help dial in to how to lose those 20 to 50 pounds that you might have excess, right? And we're talking about going to a lean stage, not being shredded, right?
Yeah, and that's a good point, right? You started off that just by the mere fact of that you're going from 300 pounds to 200 pounds, right? Or something like that, something drastic like that. Suddenly you have more endurance, right? You have more workout endurance. You can, instead of doing 15 minutes, now you can do an hour of workout, right? And not only that, you can do your workout and then you can just have a very active rest of your day, right? Going up and down, moving up the stairs. That's no longer a challenge. That's no longer an obstacle. You're just naturally more active. So it's a kind of compounding factor that happens here.
Absolutely. And then for the last stage, going from lean to shredded, right? So now we're talking about going from, a healthy lean physique, right? A look where you don't have love handles, but you still look like you're skinny, right? You look lean, but you don't have like a visible abs or like ridiculous vascularity, right? We're talking about like, you know, supermodel status, like athlete status, which is, some people get to those levels of leanness, of being shredded for sport, right? Like for just for the heck of it, right? And why shouldn't they? People, you look good. But that getting to that stage is definitely going to require more effort than it did initially. When you saw that, like the same strategy when you were excessively overweight, when you went from puffy to lean, is not going to work to going from lean to shredded, right? So that's where you have to be more dialed in into your nutrition and into your workouts, almost like pedantically so, right? Like it's not an easy thing to do to get to that shredded level. It's not necessarily a healthy thing to do either. And there's smart ways and there's dumb ways to go about doing, getting shredded in a healthy way.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Potential fails. Losing the weight for too long induces metabolic adaptation. So this is the effect of when decreasing your body weight. There's less weight being carried around, so your body just naturally burns less weight, less calories, or burns less energy, just by that absolute factor of changing weight. But then there's also this other secondary effect where your body's metabolism adapts to the limited amount of foods that you're consuming because you're trying to lose weight. So decreasing your basal metabolic rate, your normal burn rate of the day, decreasing it by a little, in some cases up to 20%, right? According to the studies, right? It depends on the individual. Individuals have a much stronger metabolic response, and others not as much. But you are at a higher risk of this the longer you go for weight loss. So if you've been trying it for 6 months, your chances start increasing of this metabolic adaptation.
Yeah, and that's why it's one of the reasons why it's common for people to plateau on their weight loss journey. Sooner or later, you're going to plateau, right? So another potential fail, that happens when you're trying to lose weight is accidentally overeating or undereating, right? So either can have a negative impact on your health, or on your goals rather. If you're accidentally overeating, maybe you're not being so diligent or about tracking exactly what you eat. Maybe you're having a few snacks throughout the day, or maybe you're not quite measuring maybe how much cream you're putting in your coffee, or how much butter you added to that steak, or if you're like us, how much butter you put in your coffee. Little things like that. How much cheese are you eating? Oh, I'm just going to have this tiny slice, but then maybe that tiny slice is like 2-3 ounces of cheese. It's tiny to you, but you don't realize that in 2-3 ounces, if you do that once or twice throughout the day, you might be actually overeating by enough to the point where it might affect your progress on your weight loss, right? So there's always like those little things, not being aware of how much you're actually consuming. And then on the flip side of that, of course, eating too little. Maybe you get too ambitious with your weight loss goals. Maybe you like to do one meal a day, or you like to skip meals, and then you'll have some coffee to hold you through that hunger in the morning, which, it works, it suppresses hunger. But then you risk, maybe you have no idea of how much you're actually ingesting, and that leaves you open to the mistake. A very common mistake that we see is just eating too little, right? At the end of the day, you do need to eat enough, a healthy amount, so that your body is working properly. If you undereat for too long, then you're looking at metabolic adaptation as well, right? So your body's going to adapt to the current intake. And if you're someone eating under 1,000 or under 1,200 calories per day, and that doesn't really leave a lot more room for you to cut out foods throughout your day, and you're still not seeing the weight loss, right? So you kind of dug yourself in a hole.
Yeah, yeah,
The weekend trap. Well, that's a very big one, you know, and this is mostly from a behavioral aspect of it. Many of us are rigged to seek the weekend as a time to treat ourselves and reward ourselves, right? It's not that hard to be disciplined from Monday to Friday because you have your job, you have your routine. Maybe you can meal prep, you know, you have to plan for your lunches, dinners. You have to go to bed because you have to get up early for work. But once the weekend comes, now you have free time. And not only do you have free time, but your friends and family have free time. And then, you know, we live in a society that's very accustomed to using the weekend for, you know, things, going out to a brewery, or, you know, going out to the movies, snacking on some food, or treating yourself to desserts here and there. So, well, whichever one of those is, whether it's having the pizza or having a dessert or having the drinks, many people will fall on the weekend trap. And remember, the weekend is going to be, depending on how you count the weekend, Friday through Sunday, Saturday or Sunday. That's still going to be, you know, 2 or 3 days out of 7 days in a week. So it is more than enough to throw away all the progress you did in a whole week.
yeah, yeah. What is it like? Those 3 days is still like 40% or something, right? Of the
Exactly.
entire week, right? People don't realize, oh, it's just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just Saturday, Sunday, whatever. It can set you off, it can set you back. So weekend is when you need to be the strongest.
Exactly. Win the weekend, win the week, like we like to
Yes,
say.
yes. Relying on cardio, right? So you start on your off on your weight loss journey, start hitting cardio. Right? The problem is your body adapts to cardio too, right? So it becomes more efficient at that exercise. It becomes more efficient every time you run. So start running for 30 minutes, you see some weight loss, then your body adapts. You're no longer losing any more weight. Now you have to go 45 minutes, and then you kind of scales up, and then you get caught in the marathon trap. Now you're that person that runs marathons, um, right? So, I mean, which is an awesome achievement. It's not to get discouraged people, but I find that people generally don't want to run a marathon in order to be healthy in a healthy weight. That should be like something that's fun and attractive for you to do, not something that you should leverage to lose the weight. Um, so yeah, basically the effectiveness of cardio really comes down to how much time you have in that day. And the more you adapt to it, the more time you need to keep progressing.
Yeah, and you know, again, there's many reasons to do cardio, but if your main goal is to lose the weight, then cardio might not be the best tool for you to keep that weight off in the long term. Now, if you're talking about someone who loves doing cardio, someone who does love running marathons, that's a totally different case because this person can sustain that activity, you know, week after week after week. You know, this is what they like, this is what they do, right? If you're someone who, you know, doesn't enjoy that much, but just does it as a, you know, oh, I'll just have to do this in order to lose weight, then, you know, the second you stop doing the cardio, what's going to change, right? Are you going to start eating less now, or are you just going to continue being the same person before as you were before, and, you know, going back to eating pizza, right?
Yes. Yeah, right. So actually, yeah, that's also another point about people punish themselves. They're like, I have it off, and they punish their body, and they themselves hard workout, how hard cardio session, just burn, burn, burn. Uh, but it's really not sustainable. Another point that you addressed, it's not sustainable because, well, one, you're actually giving it not the best fuel, not the best energy, not the best foods. So it hurts. Your body's gonna be in greater pain than it normally is. It's gonna take longer to recover. You're not gonna feel as good trying to use this. even traditional resistance training is going to be hard. So exactly, it's about doing something that you can sustain. Doing too
Exactly.
much.
Yeah, doing too much. That's another reason, so people who are really ambitious, who have go-getter attitudes, they think they can just max out in order to achieve their weight loss, but then, that might actually end up hurting you in the long run. Maybe you'll see some success initially, but sooner or later, remember, your body doesn't want to lose weight. Losing weight is actually a stressful process for the body. Your body likes to be fat, like it likes to accumulate fat because it thinks it's preparing for something. Of course, now we live in a world where food is incredibly abundant. That's why everyone is so confused with what to eat now. But that's a separate issue. But yeah, doing too much. If you're exercising too much, you're cutting out your food too much. Maybe you're doing so much, you're not sleeping enough. You're trying to get your steps in. You're trying to optimize every little bit of your life, right? Maybe the reason you're not losing weight is because plastics, and now you have to switch out all your equipment in your kitchen in order for you to lose weight. Like, maybe you're becoming hyper focused on the little variables and how to max out your health, where this is actually producing stress, and stress has a direct impact on your hormonal balances, and that has a direct impact on your basal metabolic rate. So the more stressed you are, the more on I guess survival state, or like a flight or fight state your body's going to be in, and that's just going to make it easier for you to be more susceptible to your hunger cues, more susceptible to cravings, and can lead to disastrous rebound. Sometimes doing less is actually doing more.
Yes.
So it's important to find the balance.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Agreed 100%. Looking for that minimum effective dose that keeps the ball rolling, as opposed to doing everything possible that's under the sun.
Exactly. And then for the last reason, what do we have, Jay?
Not looking for help, right? So a lot of people kind of just embark on this and say, okay, I'm gonna hop on a diet and then just do some like X workout, whatever I find online, whatever those Instagram reels are recommending, or just a blank template workout, blank template meal plan. Um, right, so that's just going to add more time, more discovery, a lot of research on your part to get to to your desired weight goal, right? Because there might be something on your lifestyle that's just you're going to have to drop off, for example, or withhold at least momentarily, or build better habits. So your starting point, depending on your starting point, you may not to be as strict or as relaxed. There might be more leeway, less leeway, depending on your starting point. And habits. There are certain habits that you need to develop. Certain new attitudes about yourself that you will need to develop. And if you're not looking for help, if you don't have someone kind of pointed out, these are the habits that at least will help you establish a baseline towards a sustainable weight goal. It's just going to add more time. There's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah, it's a steep learning curve to understanding how your body works and how to actually leverage, like the biological concepts in the body to your favor and to your goals. The number one mistake people do when they don't look for help is, say maybe they've had some success in the past. They think, oh, I already know what to do. I just need to go do that again, right? I need to cut out all the carbs, and then the weight is going to drop. And then boom, surprise. You cut out all the carbs, and then you actually gained weight. So what is going on, right? Like you haven't, that's part of the learning curve, right? And it might take years. It might take 10 years for you to finally come around and realize, oh, that's what I was doing wrong. I was guessing, you know. I didn't know how much I was actually eating. I just thought doing this one thing was going to save me. It didn't. It actually fired back, right? So save yourself the trouble, save yourself the learning curve. You know, there's plenty of people out there who have failed at dieting so that you don't have to, right? And this is a good place to plug our coaching. You know, we offer 2-on-1 coaching. Combined, me and Jay, we have like 20, 25 plus years of failing at dieting. You know, we've been on diets since very little. Well, I have. You know, I got put on my first diet since the second grade, and it was miserable. Portion control like throughout my childhood. But now I feel like I've actually found a system that I can sustain and like works for me, and all the issues that I have to deal with on a behavioral basis, right? On a behavioral basis, because that's what's going to make the difference at the end of the day. And then Jay has been, you know, an excellent, a distinguished athlete through most of his life and school and in university. So finding what works for him in terms of performance and endurance and to sustain his active lifestyle has been very important, right? So if you want to leverage all of our years of failing and all of our years of succeeding, don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find the diet that is right for you, not just tell you to be a purist. So so that's a great segue to talking about the pros and cons of carnivore, because you know it's a great diet, it's a great system, but is it for you? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but here are some things for you to consider.
Yeah. The pros. You know, simple.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite one.
Yes, that's the big selling point. Steak and eggs, that's it. All animal
Yeah.
foods, chicken, pork, seafood, dairy. Dairy is an optional one, right? Um, yeah, pretty
Yeah,
simple.
yeah. You know, a lot of people, their first question when they want to start getting healthier is, well, what do I eat, right? And then you know, oh, people will come up with all these crazy things. Well, you need some shilajit, you need chia seeds, you need to eat this kale, which is a superfood. Which, by the way, you know, kale is like a modern innovation. Like, you know, it was never around before. You need to make spinach kale smoothies, right, with this NutriBullet blender. You need to supplement this, and that. Like, all of that gets very complicated very quickly, and I find that, you know, the more complicated, the more the answer hides in complexity. The less you understand it, that the less likely it is to work. So that's the main benefit of carnivore. What do I eat? Anything that comes from an animal. If it moves, if it breathes, you can eat it, right? And that's just
Yeah.
a feature of being human, you know. And of course, red meat is emphasized as, you know, the most nutrient dense meat. But even then, all other meats are good. Which leads us to the second point. You know,
It is higher meat focus, so it's tasty. It's a tasty way of eating.
yeah, especially when you get to those fatty meats. You know, lean meat, not very tasty. Lean, dry meat, not for me.
Yeah.
Fatty, greasy meat, yes, please. You know, if you've experienced it for yourself, then you know the difference between, you know, trying to eat, for example, 4 cans of tuna, right? Something like that, or like a chicken breast versus a ribeye or some short ribs or some pork ribs, right? Some pork belly. My goodness,
Pork
huge
belly.
difference. Yeah, huge difference. You know, another pro, all meats high in essential amino acids, right? So when it comes to protein, you don't eat protein, right? You eat the amino acids. And animal protein is the standard of protein. Some people will try to do dietary acrobatics to say, you know, if you mix 3 different plant protein powders, then you can have a complete plant protein. 3 different plant protein powders to get a complete protein. Yeah, I mean, it's just dietary scientific acrobatics, mental gymnastics at that point. You know, a simple rule of thumb is animal protein is the standard of protein. And you know, when you look into it, availability of amino acids, it's very hard to get proper protein from your beans and legumes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can't survive. Is it optimal? Well, not for the species you were born into, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yes. The other one is B12 bioavailable in animal foods. This should serve as a checkmate as to what is a proper human diet, right? Because you cannot get B12 on plant foods. You can only get it through animal foods. Put simply, right? Right. So that's a big that's a key point, right? You get this vitamin only found in animal foods that if you don't have causes some pretty bad health deterioration, specifically of the mind, of the brain. Um, yeah, B12, which also ties into the next point. The micronutrients in animal foods are in bioavailable form. So it's not only B12, but it's generally all of them. Vitamin A, D, A, D, E, and K, your fat soluble vitamins. They have plant forms and animal forms, right? Guess what form the human body prefers? The animal form. If it gets the plant form, it has to convert it into the animal form. There's a lot of efficiency loss through that process, and then it absorbs whatever it's able to yield from that. So just get it straight from the animal source. So that way your body doesn't have to do all this extra work to get proper nutrition needs.
Yeah, animals will basically condense all the nutrients they find from plant foods. So even just besides the fat soluble vitamins, you're talking about all vitamins, right? Even vitamin C in very small amounts, but it seems to be enough to not produce scurvy as long as you're getting it from fresh meat. But definitely all the B vitamins, thiamine, pork will be very high in thiamine. Other, B6, B12, obviously, riboflavin, folate, all of these foods are available in animal foods in the quantities that probably work better for us, right, as opposed to their plant counterparts. So, and then of course, the nutrient density of meat plays an essential role in our next point: stronger mental health and focus.
Yeah, you feel good, you think better, stronger focus. Yeah, or you could say how you should actually be thinking in terms of mental strength and mental focus. That should be your standard. You're going back to how you should actually be, as opposed to these less favorable operating mental state.
Yeah, like I like to say, if everyone just ate steak and eggs for a whole year, we'd have sanity return to humankind. And I mean that in every literal form you can possibly interpret it in. Our brain is made from fat, and it's no coincidence that many people who go on a carnivore diet for their healing, right? And here we're just discussing weight loss, but healing is a big part of the carnivore diet. Many people are able to get off their anxiety and depression medicines, right? Their SNRIs, SSRIs, they get prescribed because the doctor thinks you have a deficiency in serotonin, even though that model has now been demonstrably proven to be, well, not correct, at least.
Yeah.
It seems like there's something in the food, right? There's something about fat that is good for our brains, and there's something about entering a ketogenic state too that seems to be protective for our brain health. So all of those things to consider, very important.
Yeah. Yeah. And last, but certainly not least, higher libido, right? So this is a great benefit of carnivore, right? Because if you're a healthy person, you're just going to naturally have a higher libido. So that's a good signal of health. obviously, because right, our human a human system, a human body wouldn't want to procreate if it wasn't healthy. You wouldn't have the energy, the strength, or everything associated. So yeah, uh, you probably need a better diet to kind of support that your procreation goals. So there you go.
Excellent. Moving on. What cons are there to the carnivore diet, if any? So, believe it or not, there's some people who will be upset about not having carbs. You know, the lasagna lovers will cry, and people will love to tell you the carnivore diet is not sustainable because it's a restrictive diet. You cannot have carbs. And it's like, well, let me throw that back to you. Just because you think eating carbs is freeing doesn't mean it really is. It sounds to me like you are carb addicted. But
They don't see it.
if you're, yeah, but if you're one of those carb addicts, and that's okay, we've all been carb addicts. In fact, many of us fight with it every single day. You know, you might find yourself having a hard time on this diet. Okay, whether that's
Yeah.
good or not, obviously there's no such thing as a dietary carb, as an essential dietary carb. No such thing. So, and many of the carbs that experts will recommend we have come in the form of refined carbohydrates that are supposedly heart healthy, whole wheat fibers, breads, right? 6 to 11 servings of carbs according to the food pyramid, quarter of your plate according to the My Plate guideline of just grains. It's like, well, we feed grains to cattle to fatten them up. Why do we expect a different result from feeding them to humans?
Good point. Good point. The other con is, requires compliance to work, right? So you gotta be able to adhere to it for it to work. Obviously, it's not gonna work if you are, saying you're eating carnivore and then on the weekends you have ice cream. You're eating carnivore, but then on the weekends you're having cake. Eating carnivore and suddenly you're having pizza a week after, right? Because you just couldn't step away from the pizza for a week. Come on, man. And then
Yeah,
you
well,
blame
I
the
think,
carnivore.
yeah, well, to be fair, like I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks of carnivore. Is the fact that in order for it to be effective, well, I mean, you have to be compliant. Like you have to stick to it,
Mm.
and well, and that's also so that leads to a lot of these advice surrounding the carnivore community being like, oh, all you have to do is cut all of this out, and there's no room for these things. Like these people, I guess what I'm trying to say by that is many people will try to make them pass themselves off as purists and saying this only works if you're a purist. The harder you purist, the harder you're carnivore, the more successful you will be. And then people enter like this competition, basically saying like there's no room for those other things. I don't have a single drop of alcohol. Oh my God, Andrew Huberman told me it's bad. I don't go out to eat because they cook meat in seed oils. So suddenly I just stay at home. I have no friends, right? Like all of these things. And then that's where it gets hard for people to remain compliant, right? Because they get this messaging that basically they have to become like this supreme figure, which, if your goal is that, then by all means, right? I think that's an honorable goal to have. I'm not saying it's not. But if you're someone who's just struggling with their weight and wants to lose the weight, then, you know, getting to that level is going to be very hard, right? Like if you're someone who's used to just going out and eating on the weekends, it's very hard to break away from that, right? And I think that we could do a better job in the carnivore rhetoric to accommodate for those people, right? Say, hey, I'm a carnivore, but maybe I want to have 3 drinks on a Saturday, right? There is a way you can fit all of that in. We're not saying drinking is healthy, but we're saying is there are ways to like balance it all out so that it works for you, right? And it's easier for you to sustain rather than having to comply to being a purist, right? Rather than having to subscribe to being a purist. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to take it to extreme where you have to be a purist. But also, I think the key lesson of carnivore is kind of getting rid of that junk, figuring out that animal foods are actually healthy for you, and kind of prioritizing all of those animal foods. And every once in a while, if you give yourself a little treat and you're able to hop back into it, right? Um, on a net overall, it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe, you need to find another diet.
True.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Maybe the carnivore isn't for you, right? That's totally okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If people don't want to let go of their vegan ice creams, then you're not ready for it then.
Yeah.
Next point. Is it repetitive? Huh. That's a good one, right? It's a con where it's pretty easy to get into a rhythm of the same types of foods every week, right? You're kind of having the same types of foods. It sounds boring or it sounds repetitive, but it doesn't really feel like it or doesn't even taste like it. It's not boring to have a bowl of ground beef.
Well, I think some people would disagree.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Some people actually love recipes, and there's some people out there that have some carnivore recipes, but um, it can be repetitive. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It takes some creativity to get outside the box if you're feeling like it's getting too boring for you.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. It's I've been doing this for 5 years, and it's gonna be 5 years in April, or we're just a few months away, and it's a steak tastes really damn good, really
Yeah.
darn good. Uh, Still after 5 years. So yeah, yeah. And last point, it's the entire society will turn into Agent Smith on you. Basically, all your friends and families and even strangers will say, "This is so dumb. You're gonna die. Where do you get your nutrients? But cholesterol, but the environment, but the violence, or you have lower morals. You are a carnist or whatever. You're doing this for pleasure, right? You eat for pleasure." Okay. Um, so there's a lot of stigma, you could say, um, on adopting this way of eating. Particularly, I see it as the proper human food, so I have no problem with this. It's just you have to kind of educate yourself of animal foods are healthy. They don't cause any cancer. They don't cause any diabetes. They don't cause any obesity. They don't do all these modern diseases. They don't do any of that because these animal foods have been with us ever since we started. Whether you believe in evolution or creation, either scenario, animal foods have been with us.
Yeah. You have to be ready to defend your stance and to be ready to claim your right to health, right? That's really it. The world will challenge you, and everyone's already been indoctrinated to push back against this lie, which should really be alarming and telling to you that this lie is so pervasive that even the most unsuspecting people subscribe to these beliefs, right? These ways of believing, and that's why we do what we do, to put these myths to death.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, implementing the strategy.
Yeah. So now that we covered all of that, potential fails, the pros and cons, and how does it really, what the goals are, what does it look like to actually implement this? right? So I think,
Yeah.
step number one, well, we picked our nutrition strategy, which is, carnivore. So, you should pick your foods, pick the foods that you enjoy the most, that you can afford, and introduce enough variety so that it's not as repetitive as you think, right? So, to some people, it can only be like one cut of meat, like enough for the whole week. But here we're saying, try to find 3 to 5 different meats that you enjoy. This can be from, mostly beef, maybe 3 from beef, then maybe some pork, or maybe some poultry, some seafood. Just pick 3 to 5 of these that you can have, that you enjoy and you can have on your rotation, right? This can be 5 different cuts of beef. Maybe if that's your thing, right? Then that's how you'll avoid that uh, palate fatigue, right? Maybe not just ground beef, but maybe over here have some ribs, over here have some steaks, have some pulled beef, shredded beef. You know, get creative, and then deciding, are eggs and dairy a yes for you? Usually eggs, unless you have some sort of intolerance to them, eggs are like incredibly versatile. There's many ways to cook them. Scrambled, sunny side up, hard boiled. You can make egg salads. You can do steak and eggs. You can do ground beef and eggs. You can do ground beef fried in together with eggs, scrambled together, right? So really, like it's crazy. Like the world is your oyster with eggs, and then dairy. Again, unless you have some specific intolerances to dairy, there's ways that dairy can work in your favor and ways that dairy can work against your favor, right? So, should you have milk? Well, milk is it's a liquid calorie, so it's very easy to digest. It's going to be low on the satiety score. It's easier to drink a lot of milk than it is to like eat more steak. So that might be problematic. And then there's also like the matter of dairy being somewhat addictive. It makes you want to crave more. Um, should you be adding butter? Like if you're not having enough fat in your meat, if you're eating lean meat, adding butter can be beneficial. Um, are you having too much cheese? Like those kinds of things, that you have to decide for yourself. I think it's important to also highlight that there are lower calorie, higher protein versions of dairy as well that you could leverage to your favor. Things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese. These are just some examples of, if you're addicted to dairy, too much cheddar or too much of um, other cheeses, you might want to consider trying these, so you can still get your dairy in, but they're lower calorie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely a lot of higher protein, lower calorie variations. Dairy products, cottage cheese, like you mentioned, is a pretty good choice.
Yeah, very underrated in my opinion.
Yeah. Tracking your food. This is controversial. A lot of people don't want to track, but when you're doing low carb or keto or carnivore diet, you want to make sure you get enough fat in. You want to understand how much you're eating, right? To some degree, you have to understand how much fats you're getting in and how much protein you're getting in. Because sometimes you're not going to feel very good, and it may just be because you're not getting enough protein or not enough fat. And you need to figure out how much you've been consuming of those types of foods or those types of micronutrients, and then kind of flip it up a little bit more. Um, it happens, right? Maybe you're getting 90% ground beef, and you're short on fat, but then you're not gonna feel good, but you have no idea how much fat you've been consuming. Or perhaps a little bit more butter kind of help your situation. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen many cases of people who start carnivore and they're like, it's not working for me. I ask them what they're eating, and they are doing carnivore, but they're doing like 93% lean uh, ground beef because it's grass fed, right? So it's very very lean, And they're like, oh, you know, I eat like a pound of that, but it's too dry. Like it's too dry. So then they add, you know, a little bit of like maybe a little bit of butter here and there, or something extra, and then maybe they'll have like 3 4 eggs. What you got to realize that what I just described, this was literally described to be by a woman who would do 2 meals, and you know, 1 pound of 93% lean ground beef. It's like barely 600 calories.
Yeah.
You know, if you're eating 4 eggs, and that's, you know, 800, scratching 900, and then plus, you know, say like 1 or 2 servings of butter, then you may be having, you know, you're looking at under 1,200 calories per day for this woman, which is, you know, in any scenario, anything under 1,200 is like extremely low. It's problematic low. It's tank your metabolism kind of low. It's, you know, make it easier to weight rebound kind of low. Okay, so as much as some people think they're doing good advice by telling everyone, oh, you know, grass-fed maximalism and all these things, we've covered this before. It doesn't help everyone, right? So that's why we say that tracking might be beneficial. Tracking's never been easier than ever on a carnivore diet. So this whole pushback against tracking, or at least having your finger on the pulse of how much you're consuming, it doesn't make sense. And in our view, it's just bad advice, right? Yes. And then again, yes, this also depends on where you're starting at on your journey. You know, if you have excessive weight, then, you know, just eating meat till you're full is going to work to lose those first 50, 100 pounds. But if you're going from the puffy to lean, or you're trying to get shredded, you can't just eat meat till you're full. Like, that's not going to work for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about weight loss, okay?
Yeah.
So many things, many little caveats to consider, right? Because there's just so much conflicting information out there on the health and nutrition space. It's frustrating and in most cases counterproductive.
Yeah. A lot of confusion out there.
Yep.
Tracking workouts. That's not controversial, right? Obviously, you got to be able to track your workouts. You want to be able to know what exercise you've done, what body parts you have worked, and how much you can do for weight, sets, and reps, right? Because that's the only way you progress, by knowing what you've done in the past. So you can try heavier weights or more reps or an additional set or two, right? Perhaps even try a whole different set structure, whole different rep structure, right? There's a lot of variety that you can try within resistance training context, even cardio, to see you continue seeing progress. And then this is where your accountability comes in, right? You have to weigh in daily, every day, every single day. And of course, understand that there are daily weight fluctuations. So it's not that meaningful. But what's meaningful is you understand how much your weight fluctuates on a week. You should know this. You should know what's your high end, what's your low end, where you actually are. And then you take the average of the entire week and you save that. And then keep weighing the next week every day. And then you take the average of that entire week, and then you compare week over week how much the average changed. If the average is the same, you're not losing weight. You got to look at your strategy, see where you're falling off. If you are losing weight compared to the weekly average, then you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. No need to change anything. You're losing weight. And you just keep doing that. And it's gonna take time. You're gonna reach your goal weight if you keep doing that. But you do have to be accountable. You do have to weigh yourself at the same time every day.
Yeah, it's just useful to have a metric you can track, right? I know many people are also big on this, like, oh, you don't need to weigh yourself, whole thing. Which, you know, I mean, like, yeah, you can try your luck at guessing as much as you want, but if you want results and if you want to get serious about results, having some metrics is going to help, right? Any serious business has their KPIs, right? Their key performance indicators, right? No real business out there is just like, oh, just do what feels good, right? That's not what it's about, right? It's, if you want results, you need something you can track. So the more data you have on your side, the more valuable that data is going to be. For the longer you track, the more valuable it's going to be, right? And this goes for tracking food, for tracking your daily weights, for tracking your workouts. Maybe you don't want to focus just on your weight. Maybe you have some pliers to measure your body fat, or you want to measure your waist circumference, other things like that. You just want to find something you can track to see if you're seeing results or not, and then knowing whether you have to recalculate your approach or not, right?
Absolutely.
Let's keep moving on. Implementing a strategy. Yeah.
Now you also need to pick a timeline, 12 to 16 weeks, but this obviously depends on your starting body weight. You don't want to lose weight for the entire year, because we already covered the pitfalls of that, right? Pick a window. Again, depends on how much weight you have to drop off. Pick a window and do it, because that will also help you focus for this period of time. It's not like I will indefinitely lose weight. You're gonna lose your mind. You're gonna be like, maybe not this week, maybe next week, maybe I'll start tomorrow or whatever. No, time is running out. Every day that you're not doing it, your time is running out, right? So if you missed a day, you missed a day out of your 12 weeks, and that's a lot. So now you're set back by a day, and that adds more time, adds more pain. So yeah, you need to set a time, this amount of time, I'm gonna lose a weight.
Yeah, making that promise to yourself, I'm going to do this for the next 12, 16 weeks, and doing it, right? Holding yourself, like making the promise to yourself, just like you promise something to someone else, and honoring that. If you can't even uphold the promise to yourself, then, don't be wondering why you cannot see results. It's that simple.
Yeah, exactly. That you're promising to yourself, exactly. And are you going to fail yourself? That's like the worst person you can fail.
Yeah, that's going to be the number one driver to tank your testosterone.
Yeah.
Failing.
Yeah. Have an exit strategy. So, what happens after the 12, 16 weeks? What do you do next? How do you sustain it, right? You need to know what to do afterwards, right? That doesn't mean, oh, I'm going back to my pizzas. No, you just wasted 16 weeks of hard work. You got to find a way to slowly scale up the amount of food that you're eating, so you're back to eating to normal levels, and continue working out. That's a healthy habit that you now have developed throughout this period of time. You are now a person that works out. You're now a person that is active. You're now a person at a much healthier body weight. This is just you. You're new you. So, slowly scale up, and you'll notice that by slowly introducing food, more food, little by little, you kind of maintain that body composition. You look a little bit more fuller. Your muscles look a little bit better. Your weight goes up a little bit, but it's not really noticeable on your stomach or those fatty areas. So you do need an exit strategy. Don't just jump back into like the weekends of drinking, jump back into like the cheap meals, or just the poor quality of food, or going out every lunch, whatever, right? By now you should be able to prepare your meals, be very diligent about it. These meals are good for you. Keep those habits and try to start eating a little bit more. And yeah, this point, I kind of did cover, focus on healthy habits that you develop throughout the whole process, right? Because what did you do in those 12 to 16 weeks? You probably meal prepped. You probably ate more inside than outside, which is good, because when you cook your own food, you're saving money and you're controlling what you're eating and the quality that you're eating. That's a healthy habit. You are now going to the gym. You have your probably your favorite sport that you do. Now you're back to doing it because you're on a healthy weight. So um, you feel better and you're able to stay in shape better. So it's the healthy habits that kind of you develop to get you there.
Exactly. You have to become a new person, basically. Otherwise, if you go back to the pizzas and the ice cream, setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle change. Some people want to stay in that college attitude of partying every weekend, which is cool, I guess. But you're probably living under some delusion if you think you can keep that and also have a healthy body weight or a healthy lifestyle. Some people enter this and thinking they can blend their current lifestyle with this new weight goal, which is not how it works. You can't. It just doesn't. And then other difficulties that can get in the way, um, which you kind of have to deal with. Cravings for junk foods, holidays. Holidays always are a ever-present threat. You just gotta be smart, plan ahead. Hey, in 2 weeks this is happening. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna eat more before. Maybe try to account for a social drink here and there. That's it. Yeah, anniversaries, social events, and super difficult, disciplined approach to achieving your goals. Not only your weight goal, but all your goals. Have you been disciplined on your other goals? And if you truly want to take it to the next level, right? If you're talking about that sub 7%, sub 8% body fat, you know, you're gonna fight hunger. I mean, once you're in those body fat percentages, you have to be okay with being hungry, um, right? Which is not everyone's goals. Some people just want to be not fat and in healthy weight. And I think you don't have to be starving yourself. You don't have to be hungry if you follow like a carnivore approach. Um, Again, because you're getting all your nutrients and you're getting your calories. But if you truly want to get shredded, yeah, there's some uncomfortableness that you have to fight through.
Yeah. And there are just ways, to navigate through that, to just like, you're basically balancing out satiety and your energy levels. And, in order to stay on track with your weight goals, right? So, maybe incorporating some other high volume foods, things like
Mm,
that can help, once you're at those stages, right? But for the average person, mostly a non-issue.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this kind of covers everything. We just have a window for Q&A, small window of Q&A. We've been going at this for an hour, and plus we did the IG live. So still though, people got questions, happy to answer and stuff. If not, we already answered a bunch of questions on the IG. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
man.
as per usual, catch us live on Instagram Mondays. We do a live Q&A before this show, and then we go on to do this full-on Monday Night Live every Monday. And I think we have some great shows planned for down the line. And if you haven't checked out our earlier episodes, definitely go check them out. We've covered all different kinds of topics. Can you do a carnivore diet wrong? Maybe there are some reasons we covered. Uh, are plants trying to kill us? I think that was episode 1 or 2 we covered. We discussed heavy metal toxicity present in plant foods, even organic varieties, and present in baby foods. Extremely, extremely alarming, distressing stuff. Not for the faint of heart. You know what actually clogs your arteries? Gone to great depths about that. Why are seed oils healthy? Cover that too. So keep on checking in. Make sure you subscribe, like, go follow us on other social media. We're on our flagship being Instagram, where we fight the lies every day. So go support us over there. The algo lords do not like us.
They hate us.
Twitter, TikTok, yeah, and of course YouTube. We're gonna keep on pumping out great episodes, having great guests. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we have Zach Strength on the show. We're gonna be
Nice.
discussing. He has announced he is running candidate for the Prohibitionist Party of the USA, for the presidential nomination of the Prohibitionist Party for the USA. So what does that mean? Come and find out tomorrow. Zach, of
Wow.
course, is a great person. We met him on Twitter. Also, he's also there on Instagram. You know, he was believe an NFL athlete, does a ketovore diet. I think he just describes it as low carb, which is cool. But you know, it's a very high protein diet. He's definitely fighting a good fight, and you know, we'll have a great episode tomorrow for you guys.
Yeah.
As always, you know, we do the Monday Night Lives every week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we usually have another show with a guest or a study club. And on Wednesdays, we do our weekly Zoom meetings for our free Discord group members. So if you're not in there yet, come get stronger with a community of like-minded individuals, and let's go discuss some crazy theories in our Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
And
definitely. Yeah, no, I just love the Zoom meetings because it's just everything's on the table. There's no like social media censoring, self-censoring that we do, right? We're not out here completely unhinged, but it's also a more laid-back, casual scenario of people talking to people. That's where our Zooms are, basically.
yeah, we literally have to be careful about what we share on social media because you will get punished for it. And I think we're getting punished for it currently.
We are 100%.
Yes. So, you know, head on over to Discord so we can be censorship proof and support the show. You know, if you'd like to work with us, we will figure out what animal-based diet is right for you, carnivore or not, keto or low carb or whatever or not. We will help you out reach your goals.
Yes. And with that said, thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Really love it that you are here with us. And it really humbles that, that you like us, right? Right, because I guess to some level, we're on the same message. We're all trying to spread the same message of healthier human living. It is what it is. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Gonna eat it by the stick tonight. Gonna eat out this way.